Hello and welcome to this lecture titled Organizational Strategy. Context matters. For example, in the movie Legally Blonde, the main character is invited to what she thinks is a costume party, but it's actually a mean joke intended to embarrass her. She wears an outfit that would be perfectly fine at a costume party, but it's awkward in a non-costume party environment. In other words, context matters. Now, I enjoy talking about movies, especially science fiction and time travel. If you happen to be a fan of those yourself, you can send me an email and we can discuss. But in the context of this lecture, we're not going to talk about movie reviews, but rather success within a business or an organization. And context matters. Within any organization, our book says, and I agree, successful project management is contextual. What that means is that an organization itself matters. Its culture, its structure, its strategy, the organization matters. The context of the organization matters. The organizational context is the focus of this chapter. It matters because the same project managed in the same fashion may succeed in one organization and fail in another because the organizations are different and the organization or the context matters. Each organization is its own context. Learning to recognize and understand different organizational contexts will help you make decisions that will help you to succeed. I added this chart because I think it's good from a big picture perspective. We've talked about project and process management, and good management is going to be formalized and weak management is going to be ad hoc or informalized, and we can see both project and process management because these are different things, and to say that you're good in one doesn't mean you're bad at the other or good in the other. You might be good in your processes, the day-to-day creating of colored sugar water for Coca-Cola, and you might be good in your projects creating new services and products to make your company innovative within the market space. But it doesn't mean those two necessarily relate. Hopefully you work at a company that's good at both. Some organizations have cultures that are good at both project and process management. The organizations have mature formal processes for process management and mature formal processes for project management. That would be area 1 in this diagram. That'd be a great place to work. You'd get great experiences. That company will probably be successful long term, and if you end up moving from that company to another company, you can take your positive experiences with you. Now, other organizations have formal processes for process management, supply chain, inventory, customer relations, so on, but they're a little bit ad hoc or informal when it comes to their project innovation, leaving the organization ill-prepared for success in new products and services. That would be 2 in this diagram, area 2. Organizations in area 3 in this diagram have poor process management, which is bad for ongoing productivity, but they have good innovation in the form of new project management. This might work for some kind of a startup organization, but very soon that organization will need to formalize its processes associated with the products and services from the new project development. And the last group here, the organizations in area 4, they're not very likely to succeed. And even those few from area 4 that do succeed, they would be more successful if they formalized their project and process management activities. Strategic management is the science of making cross-functional decisions that enable an organization to achieve its objectives. An organization has multiple function areas or groups, and this diagram shows that. I thought this was useful to talk about this from a big picture. As you might guess, we can see there's a production loop there. Well, the goals of production are different than, for example, research and development, which is different than the goals of the sales functional unit or the sales department or the marketing department or functional unit or business area or whatever it's called in finance and human resources and customer service and so on. Strategic management involves cross-functional decisions. So we get people, we're trying to make strategic management across all these areas. We're not just trying to optimize production or sales or marketing. We're trying to make cross-functional decisions that impact all areas of the business organization. Many firms apply their vision statement or mission to evaluating new projects and opportunities as a screening device. So as you have these at the highest level of these, your strategic management is your your vision statement, your mission statement. And new projects are going to be evaluated based on not how well they serve an individual unit, but how well they impact the entire cross-functional organization. Talking about the strategic management, there are 4 steps to this. The first of which is developing a vision and a mission statement, and steps 2, 3, and 4 are basically following through on that vision and mission statement. Vision and mission statements provide a common goal so that everyone is rowing in the same direction. They're actually very important, and most organizations have them. The challenge is actually using them and taking advantage of them. If you can get everybody rowing in the same direction, marching to the to the same drummer, if you can get everybody working together, your organization will be successful. It'll achieve its goals. It's when every individual unit and every individual person within an individual unit is doing their own thing that you have a very high likelihood of failure. Now, different companies have different interpretations of vision and mission statements, but generally speaking, from my perspective, a vision is your purpose, why you exist, and a mission is what you do to reach your goals, your purpose. Your vision, your purpose, why you exist, typically doesn't change over time, but your mission, the how-to, how you're reaching your goals, those can be impacted by market changes or new opportunities or new projects that you come up with to be more effective at reaching your vision, your purpose, your why you exist. The key to having a vision and a mission is that you follow through. That's what steps 2, 3, and 4 on this list are basically saying. At least they are to me. For example, with respect to project management, many firms apply their vision statement or mission statement to looking at new projects and making sure that they reach their goal, which we just talked about. In that step, I have a friend, let me say this, I have a friend who's a very successful advisor of C-level executives, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, presidents, and the like. And what he does, the first thing he does whenever he goes into an organization is he asks the company leadership team to explain who they are and what they do. He doesn't come in there telling them anything about who they are and what they're going to do or how they need to work. He lets them define who they are and what they do, and he just listens. Most organizations, in fact, pretty much every organization of any size has those vision and mission statements to help answer that question. But then the next thing he does is he looks at the organization's formal processes of the various units, and he asks the executives if those processes are supporting the vision and the mission statements. Far too often, the activities and the actions of the functional groups do not support the company vision and mission. So what he does then is he sits down and works with the team leaders to help them determine some actions that would support the vision and mission. So all he's doing is thinking through and delivering on step 1 there. Step 2, 3, and 4 are just following through on step 1. Too often a vision statement in an organization, it's stuck on a wall somewhere and nobody pays attention to it. The more effective organizations make decisions, make strategic management decisions based on those vision and mission statements across all the functional lines, so that even though each functional group has its own goal, the thread that runs across functions is that common vision. So projects, when they're driven by an organization's overall strategic vision, they become stepping stones by which an organization moves forward. So we can see here, in other words, projects turn strategy into action. So here's some strategies and the projects that might result. Improved operations, so new distribution techniques or a decentralized plant may result in a project to construct a new plant or to modernize the facilities. A strategy of matching or improving on a competitor's product or competitor service may involve reverse engineering, a project to reverse engineer the competitor's products. A strategy to improve cross-organizational communication and to improve the efficiency in the supply chain management might involve a project to investigate and install the implementation of a new enterprise information technology system to help with that communication and supply chain management. Here we see from our book a hierarchical model where the mission resides at the top of the pyramid, Objectives that more formally define the mission support that mission, and at the base of the pyramid are the strategy, goals, and programs that support those objectives and mission. These elements must align with each other in order for an organization to be successful long term. And again, the main idea here is that all these things strengthen each other by working together rather than weakening each other by pulling in different directions. If you have threads, number of sewing threads, an individual sewing thread is not very strong, but if you've got 10 or 20 sewing threads and they're all wrapped and twisted together, you can't break it just by pulling on it. Now you've got threads that are sewed together on your shirt, and as you start pulling individual threads out, you actually destroy the shirt. So working together is very important. That same diagram that we were just looking at, that pyramid diagram, here's a figure example of this in the book. This example involves a manufacturer of, I believe, refrigeration equipment. The mission, or the vision, at the top of the pyramid states that includes, there's ... before this, but the mission includes the business of supplying system components to a worldwide non-residential air conditioning market. The vision is clarified by specific strategic objectives: expected return on investment, maintenance of dividends, and social responsibility. The mission and objectives are then supported by specific strategies, goals, and programs. You can see the details there. That's kind of a little too specific for this particular refrigeration equipment company, but we can see that we get into details. It's not all high level, dominate the marketplace with innovative technologies, Dilbert buzzword talk. The purpose of the vision is to give a common focus, but at some point you get the nuts and bolts, the nitty-gritty details, but they should line up with and support the mission and objectives. Stakeholder management. Stakeholders are the individuals or groups that have an active stake in the project and can potentially impact positively or negatively its development. And the set of stakeholder projects, the set of project stakeholders includes the internal stakeholders within your organization, top management, accountants, functional managers, project team members, and those stakeholders that can impact the project either positively or negatively from outside the organization: the client, competitors, suppliers, environmental, political, consumer, and other intervener groups. So as we're looking at all these, they're all stakeholders and they all have an impact, and they all have to be considered on your project. Top management, that's the body that authorizes the development of new projects and therefore has a great deal of control over project managers. They need to be kept very much in the loop and need to be very convinced of the benefits of the project. Accountants within an organization, they monitor budgets and promote cost efficiencies. They can be a huge asset and should be treated as so. They shouldn't be treated as somebody you try to avoid or dismiss or hide information from. They are going to be an asset, not a liability. Functional managers, now they have their loyalty to their functional groups and they provide very valuable organizational insight. So having that's the cross-disciplinary nature, cross-functional nature of projects. You want those functional managers in there giving their insights. And then the project team members, the folks that are going to be doing the work on this particular project, probably on loan from a specific functional area to work on this project for a period of time, they, like the functional manager, are going to need to understand the project, the overall good of the project, not just the impact to their functional group. And if everybody sees a benefit to their functional group but also a larger benefit, and you've got a broad perspective of functional representation, then you have a very high likelihood of success that project is going to do well. Looking at external stakeholders, the clients, their main concern is going to be receiving the product as quickly as they can possibly get it. Cost is also an issue there, and quality is an issue there, as we talked about before in a previous lecture. But they're ready to get the product and start using the product. Competitors, now they're a stakeholder, an external stakeholder, because they can impact your project. Well, how do competitors impact your impact your project success. Well, if they're coming out with competing products and the timeline of their come to market for their product versus your market release date can have an impact on your sales. Everybody's always trying to have the next greatest tablet or smartphone device. There's new technologies going on with home protection security systems, and you're working on the next great home protection security system, and somebody else comes out with a better home protection security system a month before you do, and that can definitely impact your project and the success of your project. Even though you don't have any direct ties to the insides of what's going on with the competitors, a good project manager is always going to keep his or her ears open to what competitors are signaling that they're doing, function-wise and timing-wise. Suppliers, they provide the raw materials or the resources that the project needs to complete the project successfully. And then there's these interveners, this folks that are external but can have an impact: the environmental groups, political groups, consumer groups, and so on. The project manager communicates with all of these stakeholders except the competitors. I don't think a project project manager actually talks to individuals at the competing firms and gets information from them, but the project manager keeps his or her ears open to what the competitors are signaling. But the project manager directly communicates with top management and accounting and functional managers and project team members and the external clients and the external suppliers and the external intervener groups, environmental groups and political groups and consumer groups. So a project manager has a technical role and has some technical project management skills that are involved, and we'll be talking about those in some future chapters. But a project manager is also very, very much involved in people management and people skills. And this is why being a project manager is a great opportunity for upward mobility, because you are developing both technical skills and personal skills that will be helpful in future activities within the organization. Block proposed a framework for managing stakeholders, because these stakeholders are a big part of what project managers do. They communicate with a large number of stakeholders, and Block identified 6 steps in the framework for this. Assess the environment is step 1. What is the need of the project? Identify the goals is step 2 of the principal actors. Parties, their reaction to the project will be based on their needs. You can say that groups and individuals should be altruistic, they should just care about others in society. Well, that's very, very rare. And even the people that do have concerns for others are still going to have some self-reflective concerns. So you need to be showing real solutions to real needs of the individual parties. And if you can do that, then you'll be able to get buy-in. Remember, these are cross-functional projects intentionally, and they should benefit more than just one functional area. They should have benefits across the organization. Assess your own capabilities. It's always a good idea to do a SWOT analysis. SWOT, an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. When you're trying to make decisions, it's good to know what your strengths are, know your capabilities. It also includes knowing your weaknesses, knowing what opportunities that are out there, and knowing what the threats are to proceeding in this area. So that's a good idea when it comes to checking your capabilities, is to use a tried and true SWOT, SWOT analysis. You can do a Wikipedia and read some more about that. That's a pretty standard tool to use. Define the problem is a step in this Block framework. This helps to maintain focus and hopefully identify win-win outcomes for all the parties involved. And then developing solutions, ensure that the solution addresses all the stakeholders as much as possible, their interests, their needs. So again, if we think about not just a solution to a problem, but all the problems out there and solutions to all those problems across the units, if we can get that kind of a buy-in, then we can get everybody working to the same goal, same objective, pulling in the same direction, working better together, and all of those things will come together if they line up with the great big vision, mission statement of the organization to begin with. And then finally, step 6 in the block framework is to test and refine the solutions. You'll be working with imperfect information. You won't have all the data 5 months into the project that you have when you start the project. People's reactions, you have to make assumptions on what people are going to be reacting to, and those assumptions may be wrong. Data may change, the market space may change, new technologies may come in, prices can change from the suppliers, any number of things can change. There's lots of variables involved. This means you will regularly need to review and refine your solution. Cleveland Project Stakeholder Management Cycle kind of hits on the same idea. The Cleveland Project Stakeholder Cycle stresses that all stakeholder management functions are interlocked and they're repetitive. It gets to this idea of step 6 in the block framework about testing and refining. But the Cleveland Stakeholder Cycle, it is designed from the beginning not to be steps but a repetitive cycle. As time progresses and the project progresses, and as more information is gathered, new stakeholders are discovered, and they in turn must be managed by the project manager. As the environment changes, the project team must cycle through the model again and again to verify that existing strategies are effective, that they're meeting everyone's needs. Okay, so here's some summary points on our lecture. Strategic management involves cross-functional decisions that enable an organization to achieve its objectives. Projects are stepping stones of corporate strategy. Stakeholders are defined as all the individuals or groups who have an active stake in the project and can potentially impact positively or negatively its development. That includes internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Block identifies 6 steps to stakeholder management, and Cleveland identifies a stakeholder management cycle that allows new stakeholders to be considered at any time.